Because I feel like in nature, there's no judgment on anything. It doesn't matter who you are, what color your skin is, how old you are, where you grew up, what kind of economic status you hold. Anybody can go into nature and feel the love from what's around you.
What do you do when you come out as LGBTQ and love the outdoors? What do you do when you see the outdoor space ruled by older white cis men and desire a diverse community of outdoor lovers? Accept it, change it, create it. I am Justin Yoder, and this is LGBT Outdoors. Hello, everyone. It is Justin Yoder, your host for the LGBT Outdoors Podcast again. And if you are listening, watching on YouTube by chance, you're going to notice a big change because we now have video, and I'm here with Patrick, my husband.
Hey, everybody.
He is going to be co-hosting with me today, and we're super excited for these new changes. So if you've listened to us and have no idea what we look like and want to know, go over to YouTube. And while you're there, be sure to subscribe as well.
Oh, nice.
Got to plug that in there. So how's things going? We normally record these in different rooms.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, but also cool to be able to talk directly to someone in the same space. So yeah, pretty cool, exciting. Speaking of exciting, I'm going to kind of nerd out like tech-wise for a little bit. We have many events happening across the country led by our awesome LGBT Outdoors ambassadors. And they happen basically week after week. And there's anywhere, I'm making these numbers up, probably like 50 to 200 people signing up for all these events and release forms and all this stuff. That's a lot to handle for our volunteers who have been killing it, by the way. And we're super grateful for them, but we're doing something super cool. One of our LGBT Outdoors ambassadors, David in Texas, awesome, by the way, he's helping us out with some behind the scenes, under the hood automation to make all of that easier so that our volunteers don't have to like sort through zillions of emails. Like so much of this is going to be done automatically. And that's awesome because it's going to keep things more efficient. It's going to take some stuff off of our volunteers' plates because we already ask so much of them. And we love them. And we are coming into the means to make that happen. And it's going to make things smoother. It's going to make things faster and definitely more accurate because we can count people. We can know how many events we've done. And then we can take that report and talk to any potential sponsors, throw these numbers out at potential grants to continue that circle of building LGBT Outdoors as a nationwide organization. So super cool. We're not quite rolling with that yet, but did want to give shout out to David Guthmuller. He's put in so much work. And he's a wizard at all things automation, Salesforce. Loving it. Yeah. So, David, thank you so much.
Absolutely. He's a lifesaver when it comes to that because we've been using a software that just hasn't been cutting it for us. And so he's been stepping it up huge there. And we're kind of in this weird stage with LGBT Outdoors where we're no longer just this little like fun idea with a couple volunteers doing some fun events here and there. We're getting known and we're getting bigger and it's requiring staff. We actually have paid staff now. We're growing up.
I know.
Don't worry, we're keeping our sense of play, but we're growing up as an organization. And part of that is also needing funding, which isn't always the funnest thing to talk about. But we have this amazing new program that we've started too called the Trailblazer Society. this is an opportunity for anybody to jump in and be a part of making a real difference with LGBT Outdoors and the outdoors, creating diversity and inclusion in the outdoor spaces, whether that's right out on trails or in the outdoor industry itself. And so for as little as $15 a month, people can join in, become a part and become a member of the Trailblazer Society and start making a real change. So check that out. If you go to our website, lgbtoutdoors.com, click on Trailblazers, there's some really fun perks in there too. T-shirts you can get, having a tree planted in a national forest in your honor, different things like that that are fun kickbacks. So check that out and know that you're making a real difference in adding diversity to the outdoor spaces.
Absolutely. Like one of the things, we get the queer community outside. Like by and large, that's our prime purpose. But we also do some advocacy stuff and some education stuff. Like Justin's out there, like especially during Pride Month, talking to all sorts of companies, people within the federal government, the Houston Astros he talked to last year. Like we're trying to get some education and get a seat at the table. And again, all of that stuff costs money. Like we don't like it, but there it is. And if everybody kind of joins hands and throws a little bit into the pot, like there's a lot that we can do. So thanks for thinking about that. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we should just go ahead and jump in with our guest.
Yes.
That's what everybody really wants to hear anyways, right?
Absolutely.
I'm excited for our guest today, as I always am, obviously. But we have one of our ambassadors that are joining us today. So you're going to get to hear some of what an ambassador does and what that role is kind of like. She is from California. She's also an environmentalist engineer.
Which I have so many questions, but
for
continue.
a winery at that. So,
okay.
That's going to be interesting. So I want to welcome Meghan Stewart. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. I'm super stoked to be here.
Hey Meghan, glad you're here.
Yeah.
We're just so glad that you're here. You're a little bit newer to LGBT Outdoors as far as an ambassador. I think you've been following us for quite a while though, right?
I have. I was following you guys and following a couple of your ambassadors and people who were involved. And Josh McNabb hooked me and asked me to apply. You guys were looking for a California chapter, and here I am. So thanks to Josh. This is where we're at now. Yeah.
We love Josh.
Was that around Pride of this year, around June?
It might, maybe a little later, but I think you're right, actually. It was definitely the summer. He just kind of poked me and Yeah,
because I feel like I was out there, when I say out there, Denver, for Denver Pride, and we were talking about it. And a guy that can multitask and run a booth and be recruiting ambassadors in other states at the same time, I was just like, all right. So yeah, that's very cool. Well, I'd love for you to jump in and share a little bit about your background. Like, who is Meghan? Let our listeners know, like, as deep as you want to go with it. Like, I
was born on a cold winter day in January.
There we go. Okay.
Go on.
No, but I know there's a lot of fascinating things about you, and we're going to dive into it. But like, just lay the foundation of who you are.
Cool. Yeah. So let's see. I am born and raised in Southern California, Palmdale to be specific. It's in the high desert, just north of Los Angeles, and I mostly played sports out there. I didn't really have time to do actual outdoor stuff, but the beauty of growing up in the desert is it was, a small enough town where the parents could cut you loose and you could just go exploring and make forts under the juniper trees. So in a roundabout way, I spent a lot of time in nature, but I wasn't, like finding out hikes to do and fishing or anything like that. It was just kind of more being a kid and having fun in the desert. Due to me playing lots of sports, I didn't have time for hiking and all that fun stuff. But after I got through college, it was kind of like that now what moment. What do I do with my life? I don't have sports. I need to find something that still engages me and challenges me. And I like that aspect of training and setting goals for myself. So I just started exploring up in Humboldt County, which a lot of people I'm sure are familiar with, where the redwoods kind of meet the black sand beaches, and the Lost Coast Trail is up in Humboldt County. So no shortage of beautiful hikes I could kind of do out there. And I could do small hikes and just kind of, get the taste for nature. But I would say it wasn't until I moved out to Utah. I worked at Snowbird Ski Resort for 2 years, just kind of packed up my car and headed out there. Never even stepped foot in Utah before. I just wanted a life change. And, it's hard to not want to explore the Wasatch Mountains. They're just like calling you to enjoy them and explore them. So that was kind of my first experience of doing solo hiking and solo adventures. And I think that just kind of kicked the door open for me to, build that confidence. And researching is really fun. I nerd out on that. So gotta love that. So yeah, that was kind of, I think, my actual launching board for actually doing outdoor activities was Utah and the Wasatch Front. I did so many different hikes. I don't even think I repeated a hike. I was only there for 2 years, and I know I barely scraped the surface on what I could have done out there. So yeah. So anyways, after that, I moved back to California, and I've lived in Mendocino. I just recently moved 2 weeks ago down to Sonoma County, kind of same region, and I work in the wine industry. And yeah, life's good. I got the Sierras that are 4 hours away from me. The beach is only about 35 minutes from me. I got redwoods. I got oaks. I kind of got it all. And San Francisco is, a quick drive, maybe half an hour, 45 minutes from here. So got the city life down there as well. But yeah, that's kind of just my high level, quick 42-year history.
Yeah, it sounds like a great place to be.
Yeah.
So what part of California are you in?
So I'm just north of San Francisco. So you kind of have Marin County, which is where Muir Woods is. The Golden Gate Bridge kind of touches into Marin County. And then you go one more county north, and that's Sonoma County, well known for wine region. Everyone thinks Napa is, the wine industry, but Sonoma's heavily involved with the wine industry as well.
Screw Napa. No.
What's that?
Sorry.
He did not just say that.
Sonoma's where it's at.
It is. It's beautiful. Sonoma County is a beautiful place. The ocean, you got the coastline, Bodega Bay, and you got Jenner out there, and it's stunning. I love it here. I live in a small town, not really small anymore, but Petaluma, cute little old town vibes, and yeah. So, and then you go a little bit further, Humboldt County now at this point is about 4 hours from me. So even just Northern California is a stretch from, San Francisco up to the Oregon border. That's like a 6-hour drive. So I'm kind of, on the bottom third of that North Coast region that you hear about.
Okay. Like it dawned on me that I have absolutely no knowledge of California,
Geography.
Thank you. So I was like, it's just north. The only thing I really know is like Anaheim is about 45 minutes south of LA.
Do you go to Disneyland?
Yes, I'm a Disney dork.
There you go.
Does he go to Disneyland? Oh my gosh. Disney World is more his thing, but if he's in California.
Okay, it doesn't pass up a chance. Awesome.
I would love to dive into a little bit about how you identify, coming out story a little bit, if you're comfortable with it, and maybe even if nature had anything to do with that.
Sure. Let's see. I am gay. I have a girlfriend, and she's wonderful. Yeah, she's super cool. We've been together 3 years, and we just moved in together. So, hooray. Wow. It took us 3 years. That might be a record for lesbians. I'm not sure.
I wasn't going to say anything.
I'll say it. It's okay. So yeah, my coming out story is not that exciting, to be honest. But I will say that my family and friends are all very supportive. I think I was always like that tomboy growing up. I hated dresses, and oh gosh, I still hate dresses. But it just, I always felt uncomfortable wearing my hair down. Like, this is the extent of my hair being down, is the side braid. And yeah, I just, I don't think anyone was really surprised when I just kind of always was rolling around with the boys and kind of tough and getting muddy. And yeah, just, kind of the path just happened the way it did. And like I said, I'm just super grateful I've got support around me, because that can make all the difference, especially when you're coming out. It's scary. But yeah, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I hope for the day when like everybody's coming out story is boring.
Yeah.
And like that's why we love hearing them, because there's such a wide variety. And we have so many different listeners too that are some are allies, some are part of the community as well. But everybody has a different story, and everybody loves hearing people's stories. So like, definitely don't belittle your story. I think that's incredible. Awesome. Yeah. So that's great.
Yeah, thank you. And, thanks to my family and friends who stood by me through it all. That means a lot to me. Yeah. In terms of nature playing a part, that I've never thought of that question before. I could honestly say it probably does, because I feel like in nature, there's no judgment on anything. It doesn't matter who you are, what color your skin is, how old you are, where you grew up, what kind of economic status you hold. Anybody can go into nature and feel the love from what's around you, be it redwood trees or even an urban, park. I think you just always feel connected and you always feel welcomed. And I think that's somewhere where maybe I was struggling with things in life. That's where I went, was into nature. That is where I went to check away and calm myself and recenter myself. In nature's always there for you. Nature's always there with open arms. And I think it's a great place to just kind of go and do some reflecting and kind of recharge your soul a little bit and feel, literally Mother Nature putting her arms around you, with her warm sunbeams coming through the trees or whatever. So I like that question. I've never thought of that before. I don't think it necessarily, impacted my coming out story, but I think just as a person in general, I always feel welcomed out there, and it doesn't matter who I am or what my background is. Nature's there to love me.
Ooh, love that.
We need to get that on a t-shirt.
we had a guest one time. What was it? How did she word that? That Mother Nature doesn't care.
Yep.
I dig it.
So good. Yeah. And so currently you are an environmental engineer.
Correct.
For a winery.
Correct.
Let's unpack that.
Yes.
Yeah.
First of all, tell us what a environmental engineer does and is for anybody that's listening that might not know. And then let's dive into a winery aspect. Perfect.
Yeah. So full disclosure, I didn't know what environmental engineer was either until about 2 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. So the environmental engineer role within the wine industry, especially in California, we have lots of regulatory things going on to, make sure the impacts of any type of industry is minimized to the earth. We've done a lot of damage to this world already. So California, I'm sure a lot of people know, is kind of ahead of the game trying to put all these regulatory things in place. So my job is to kind of make sure, our stormwater that, sheets off our parking lots into the storm drains, which eventually flows out to the Russian River watershed. We're making sure our parking lots aren't full of oil and grease buildup, or we don't have a major, chemical leak or wine going down the drain, which goes to the river and impacts so many different species, from fish to birds to amphibians. So that's one thing we do. We sample the water, we test it, make sure it's within the range that California has set, and get the thumbs up that we're doing our part to minimize our impact on our local watershed. Another thing we do is airboard is really big in California. So we're making sure, our emissions are low through checking our refrigerants and all that fun stuff. But for me, the fun stuff I really like to do is kind of more the earthy things. This last April, I hosted an Earth Day fair, and I pulled some of my employees who are doing impactful things. My wastewater guy, one of my coworkers who has a beehive near our winery. It's not on it, but it's near it. And let's see, our organic wine program. I had our assistant winemaker come and talk about that. And then all the employees from the winery could come and check in with each booth and kind of see how we're making an impact on the earth in a positive way in different departments.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was a cool turnout. I had my vineyard manager there. He's awesome. He's doing all sorts of wonderful things out in the vineyard to help get us, fish friendly certified, bee friendly certified, which again is just showing that we're being mindful about how we are managing our vineyards. We're not just dumping a bunch of pesticides and herbicides into the ground. We're trying to find more sustainable ways, healthier ways, so we're not impacting the surrounding habitat with our vineyards and the oak groves and whatnot around us. And then just a couple weeks ago, right before this big atmospheric river came in, I did a trash cleanup day, asked for volunteers to come out and let's just pick up trash around the site and in the creek before a big storm comes in and flushes the creek out. And, I had about 20 people come out. We picked up, just little things that accumulate over the year from guests visiting and, just dumpsters, stuff blowing out of dumpsters. And we came away with quite a few bags of trash. And, after the storm just came through, I'm feeling happy that we did not flush a bunch of trash down the drain or into the creek. Yeah. So we made a huge impact. And that's the kind of stuff I like to do, is gathering the whole facility together as a family and trying to make an impact and bring awareness on how we can do better things with our job and the earth. Yeah.
That is so cool. And I mean, aside from taking care of planet Earth, which is super cool, there are now careers where you get paid to do that.
Yes.
Which I think is amazing. And I'm also grateful that there's people who are willing to, put their money where their mouth is in order to make that happen. Your explanation of being an environmental engineer is so much cooler than what I had pictured, because I'm thinking you're in a lab creating dolphin monkey hybrids or something.
What?
Mad scientist kind of stuff, maybe. But
well, I'm glad she's not doing that.
Yeah, like I said, your version is significantly cooler and much more impactful as well.
Thank you. I know I sound really smart. You get that engineer title, so I make my girlfriend roll her eyes quite often when someone is actually an engineer, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm an engineer too," and she just rolls her eyes. And so I like to throw that engineer title around a lot, even though I'm not sure I didn't go to school for it, but I like the title. But I did get my master's in natural resources with my focus in ecological restoration. So it's kind of combining my wine industry history with my master's degree. And I think that's probably the coolest thing of all of this, is I'm just kind of blending my career and my passion for the earth. It's great. I'm pretty excited about it. So you guys are going to have to come out and do some wine tasting out here.
Oh, that would be
love
awesome.
To visit.
I'd love that.
And so you've got this career, protecting the environment. At what point in your formative years did nature really jump out to you as being important? Was there some sort of memorable kind of highlight where you're like, oh yeah, this is definitely where I want to be?
100% there was a moment. Here in California, we have a program called the California Naturalist Program. And there's little satellite campuses all over California that people can sign up and take this little course through, I think it's the UCANR, which I think is University of California agricultural and natural resources. And they kind of get just common folks in the community to sign up and take this. And they teach you about your local region, from the watershed you live in to the trees that are growing around you. What else did we do? It was such a wonderful class. I took it with most retired people. I think I was one of the youngest people in there. But the speakers who came in, one of them actually founded the program, and she's a researcher out of UC Berkeley. And the way she was talking about the watershed that day, I was just like, wow, what a cool job. Like, to be able to like be immersed and study nature is the coolest thing. And after I finished this UC naturalist course, California naturalist course, sorry, I wanted to dig in further. And so I started researching programs out there that I could get my master's in. And I found Colorado State University actually does a really incredible online master's in natural resource stewardship program. And it was incredible. I was very hesitant about online learning, just, being that millennial, we did everything in class. So I'm like, oh my gosh, what's this tech stuff? But it was really great. I felt like I got a lot out of it. The thing you're missing is that hands-on experience, which I think you would probably get if you were doing it in, on campus learning. Mm-hmm. So I just started interning with a local nonprofit here in Sonoma County. They own a number of properties that they steward and maintain. So that was kind of how I got my hands-on experience. And I've just kind of been hooked ever since then, trying, to do fuel reduction where I can, and just learn about the birds that are around me and the trees. And it really connects you to where you're living more. And then the more you care about it, the more you want to protect it, preserve it, and mm-hmm. So yeah, that was the moment I took that California naturalist class, and just, I was like, wow, you can do this for a living. I didn't think about that.
Nice.
Yeah.
I might be uneducated on the topic. One of our local LGBT Outdoors ambassadors named Kenneth is a master naturalist. I don't know if that's, I'm guessing it's kind of like a similar kind of program. I might be completely wrong, and I might get hate mail for this. But it's all like, learning and growing and protecting the environment. But I wonder if it's something akin to that. I don't know.
Yeah, it very well could be. And I do recommend that for any listeners or watchers out there. If you are feeling this need to want to learn about your region more, or just be around common people who also have a passion for nature, look up and see if you do have a program in your area. For sure, all the Californians out there, just look up California Naturalist Program and see where your nearest chapter is. And, it does cost some money, but I do think they also offer scholarships for those who need financial assistance. But I highly recommend it. It's a wonderful course, and you get a cool little pin when you're done too, which is always fun.
Nice. And you also mentioned Colorado State University. We had our LGBT Outdoor Fest at Colorado State University Mountain Campus like a month or two ago. It was amazing, gorgeous property, incredible people and staff. And speaking of Outdoor Fest, we might have a teaser at the end of this episode if you're listening. Mm-hmm. Hint, hint, maybe. Sorry. Perfect little segue.
Well, not a segue, because you got to wait till the end.
It's a teaser.
Meghan, let's a little bit of a teaser. Meghan, tell us about maybe some of your adventures. If there's one that really stands out to you that was like this cool life-changing moment, or this destination that you went to that was just amazing.
Man, that's like asking me to choose my favorite child. I mean, I don't have any, but if I were to have children, that would, that's rough. Stuff I'm going to tell you, just don't tell them.
Okay, we won't share it with them.
Geez, yeah, that's hard. I've been lucky to do some pretty cool trips. Put me on the spot here. I did finally get to go to Havasupai in Arizona, where those stunning teal aquamarine waterfalls flow through the red canyons. That was always a bucket list adventure. I did get to go do that in March before those awful floods went through there. But for anyone who is contemplating going, just go. It's worth it. It's a bucket list location, and it's really how the pictures look. Just take that and times it by like 100, because being there in real life is absolutely incredible. But I would probably revert to my favorite, being an 18-day solo road trip that I did back in 2021. That I did a little loop through Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Montana, Utah, Nevada, and just popped right back over to California. Let's see. I started with swimming in Crater Lake. I hiked down Fleetwood Cove and jumped in I plunged into the freezing Crater Lake. Really cool experience, but very cold. But recommend that. Really That's a good bucket list item. Let's see. From Crater Lake, I went to this place called East Lake, which is like a mini Crater Lake. It was formed also through volcanic, activity, and is also just kind of like this pit that is filled up with rainwater over the years. It's got great fishing. So I did a little fishing there and camped there for 2 nights. From there, I went up and I went to the last Blockbuster on Earth in Bend, Oregon, because you got to go there as you're driving through Oregon.
Interesting.
Right? Yeah. And it smells just like Blockbuster, so it just all comes flooding back when you walk in there.
Like old carpet and popcorn.
Steel popcorn rubbed into the carpet.
Right. Do we have generations now that are like...
What's a video rental?
Yeah. Seriously.
What is this cassette tape? Or the VHS, rather?
Be sure to rewind. What was the motto?
Be kind, rewind.
Be kind, rewind. Yep. That's it.
As someone who worked at a video rental place, most people did not. Well, it's probably like 50-50.
That's so cool. Oh, goodness.
Are there any big trips or bucket list items that you haven't done yet that you want to? It could be anywhere in the world. It doesn't have to be in the States, but I'm just curious, like... Right
now on my radar, I would like to go back to the Grand Canyon, the rim to rim, and then tack on back to the rim. So the rim to rim to rim looks like a pretty incredible challenge. That kind of, I did Mount Whitney a couple years ago. I think this would be another, train your butt off to be able to go do it kind of hike. And I really want to spend more time in the Grand Canyon. Havasu Bai was just a little teaser. So that one's something that's on my radar for maybe next year. And then we tried to do Half Dome this last year. We finally got permits, but we had an early season snowstorm come in, and it's just not safe to do Half Dome. So I had to kick that one down the road, and hopefully we'll apply for permits again this year, and hopefully we'll get them. So we'll see. But nice. Half Dome and then Grand Canyon. Yeah, thank you. Those are my 2 kind of foreseeable challenges coming up.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Big challenges, for sure, which I hope you get to meet them. Speaking of challenges, have you run into any challenges in like the outdoor spaces as a queer person?
Again, I'll be super grateful. I have not. It's been very welcoming. I'm not shy about, who I am and what I stand for and who my partner is. And I've, people don't even bat an eye at it from what I notice. They're very open, even invite my partner to come out with us in future, events. Especially the fly fishing community. It's pretty crazy. My Instagram is full of, other gay women who fly fish, and it's so cool to see. I've had no problems. I feel like the outdoor world is just kind of, I would hope it's full of really amazing, open-minded people who are just out there for the same reason you are. And it would be a shame if somebody wasn't kind to somebody because of who they are. But I've again been very fortunate, and I've had people reach out to me who give me fly fishing tips or cool hiking tips, through Instagram, who have never met me, but they do know who I am and my status and who my partner is. And it's just been a very I don't know, pleasant experience. I've had no issues. I feel
Good.
like it's opening more and more to more people as well, which is great. It used to be like a white man thing. And, you know, you go out there on these trails now and it's just different generations. And it's really cool to see. It warms my heart to see how many different types of people are out there hiking. We're all there for the same thing.
I love that.
Yeah, I do too. But I do also think, or wonder if part of it has to be with where you live, with being in California.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that's your experience. And
Good point.
I love when I hear people having that experience. But we also have what is called the LGBT Outdoors Visibility Survey, which if you're listening and you haven't taken it, go to our website and take it. It's a great resource that we're putting together so that we can show the outdoor industry what some of our community goes to. And some of the stories we hear through that is really heartbreaking. But it's a great way that we can put together. It's a survey, obviously, that people can take, and it gives us really critical information about like what percent of our community does like getting into outdoors. How much money are we spending on outdoors industry?
Right.
All that kind of stuff that we can present to the outdoor industry to show the need for inclusion. And we even had a girl from North Carolina, I think she's from North Carolina, that came to Outdoor Fest this year. And she told us she's never even done anything in the outdoors with another queer person before, because she's just surrounded by all these straight people in the outdoors. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when you get to do these outdoor things with your own community that understand your struggles and what you've been through, challenges, it's just a really special connection that can happen.
Agreed. And I love that you just threw out that, not that there's anything wrong with that.
There isn't.
Talking about straight people.
We're straight people and our allies too.
It's kind of an important, never mind, scratch that. Not going there. So yeah, you do like, obviously like hiking, obviously fly fishing. I want to say, unfortunately, the term that comes to head is fly fisherman. It's inaccurate.
It's all good.
Fly fisher person, a fly fisher connoisseur.
I like that one.
Oh, okay. There we go. As a fly fisher connoisseur, can you throw us a few like hot tips when it comes to choosing the flies or choosing your location where you want to fish?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I'm 100% self-taught. I taught myself on YouTube and just through practice. So I'm not, I would say I'm not one of those like hardcore people that's like, you know, picking up rocks and like, oh, okay. And I probably should, but I kind of just go with my gut. And there's a couple patterns I always go with first. And just if it works, that's cool because they normally work for me. The little black ant for trout and any kind of stream fishing normally works for me. I've caught plenty of fish off of those. But I will say my warm water, still water species, the black woolly bugger, I have caught giant catfish off of them. I've caught largemouth and smallmouth bass. I've caught giant crappies, bluegill, anything that's in a lake. I just throw a black woolly bugger all day, any day, and I'm not going to get skunked. I pretty much catch at least one fish a day doing that. But I'm telling you, catfish love those things. If you're thinking that you can't fly fish and go after any kind of like warm water species, like the ones I just mentioned, go out there and throw a woolly bugger, and I'd be surprised if you didn't catch a catfish at one point. And then in terms of locations, oh my gosh, I'll just go on a map, especially like in the Sierras, and just look for maps. My last backpacking trip I did out in Yosemite, I truly found it just by playing on Google Maps, and I saw a little trail that went to this lake, and I started doing research on it. And it paid off. I caught 15 brook trout within like 6 hours. And then actually I just called it a day because I was like, I just feel like I'm getting selfish at this point. So let the fishies rest for the day and I'll just enjoy cloud watching. Yeah, it was the fall bite, so I think they were just hungry. I don't know if I went back, in the spring, if it would be as good, but it was a great day.
Wow.
Yeah, I think just doing lots of research is important too. There's a lot of information out there where you can kind of see if the fishing's good or not at a certain lake. Same with rivers and creeks. I like my Tenkara rod, which is those telescoping rods. They pack down to about this big. My blue one's actually behind me for those who are watching on video. It's really easy to pack, real lightweight. So if you're just even doing a hike that parallels a creek or a small river, bring that thing and just dip it in the water and see if you catch anything. If the creek's dry, then whatever, that wasn't much weight to carry it. So the Tenkara, I think, kind of is a game changer in terms you can bring that on day hikes or any kind of backpacking trip. I've brought that on backpacking trips as well. And again, it's not much weight. You don't have to carry the reel, the case for the giant, 9-foot fly rod, that's gone. So the Tenkara, I think if you're just kind of starting out too, that's a good way to kind of get your feet wet in the fly fishing world.
Nice.
Great tips. Are you familiar with trout routes?
No.
All right. So I'm going to drop one of our sponsors here.
Get it?
So trout routes is now, they've integrated with OnX. If anybody knows about OnX, which is kind of like tracking your movements in the field, tracking your hiking, stuff like that. But Trout Route specifically is an app to let you know like what the water conditions are at certain rivers. They've mapped out pretty much all of the rivers in the U.S., what's biting, where, what they're hitting on, all of this kind of stuff. So it's a great app that people can use as well. Mostly geared, of course, for trout fishing, as it is called Trout Routes after all. But yeah, you should check it out. That's
awesome.
fantastic.
Yeah,
I will. I would love to use some, especially in my area. The fishing's a little imperiled around here with the rivers kind of struggling. But I did just move next to the Petaluma River that has a bunch of stripers going up and down it. So that could be my next adventure is trying to catch a striper. But I'm super curious about this trout route. Trout route?
Routes. Yep.
Okay.
It's an app you can get. Yeah.
Sweet. I'm going to check it out. Thanks for that.
We'll connect later. I might be able to hook you up.
Okay.
he knows people.
Wow.
I might know somebody.
So we're going to go ahead and jump in and take a little break. And when we get back, we're going to talk about LGBT Outdoors more and what it's like to be an ambassador. So see you on the other side. Is that stupid? See you on the other side.
No, it's great. Leave it in.
At LGBT Outdoors, we're thrilled to have Montucky Cold Snacks backing our mission. Montucky supports our passion for making the outdoors a welcoming space for everyone, and they've been supporting nonprofits across our country since 2012. After an epic day on the trail, nothing beats a cold, snackable Montucky beer. So get outside, enjoy the adventure, do some good, and raise a Montucky to inclusivity and the great outdoors. Locust Yoga creates mats and towels designed to support your yoga practice and build meaningful connections. Their designs foster connection, bringing people together to create spaces and shared growth and understanding. They also focus on intentional community, providing tools to support your journey and mark meaningful moments with purpose. Find them on Instagram at locustyoga.shop or on the web at locustyoga.shop. And here's a deal just for you. For a limited time, buy any mat and get a free towel with code OUTDOORS. Locust Yoga, because yoga is more than a practice, it's a connection.
We are back. We are excited to continue having our discussion with Meghan from California. Lots of cool stuff to talk about, including what it's like to be an LGBT Outdoors ambassador. What does an ambassador do, Meghan?
Well, good question. Right now, as an ambassador, I am trying to organize hikes, outdoor activities, events that are within my region. So I kind of call my region the North Bay region. Those from California, specifically the Bay Area, kind of know what that region means. And I just, come up with creative, fun things that I think can kind of match all skill levels. I'm not going to, sign us up to go do Mount Whitney next week, because I'm probably going to isolate a lot of people from being able to do that. So
Right.
for me, the point of this is to try to get anybody out, maybe someone who's been hesitant about even going on a small hike with people. I want them to feel confident that they can come out and do this activity in a wonderful atmosphere with like-minded people. So I've only done 2 events so far. I did a hike off the Sonoma coast near the Cordham Trail on the Sonoma Coast State Park. And it was foggy. It was supposed to be a sunset hike. And of course the fog rolled in and decided to change plans on me. And in the most recent one, I did Kirby Cove, which is the stunning hike. It's on the north end of the Golden Gate Bridge, and you hike down to this beautiful black sand cove with perfect views of the Golden Gate Bridge and downtown San Francisco. It's truly one of the most beautiful hikes up here in this region. And shouts to the crew from Texas who flew all the way out to come to that event. That was super cool. But
how did I not know that even happened?
Yes, super cool. I was flattered.
Who was there?
So, Emilio.
Right on.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
Emilio,
awesome.
and
Way to go, Emilio.
He brought a couple friends, so it was really great. And then I did have a local come out as well. So
That's
Oh, how cool.
it was really cool. So yeah, coming up, I've been trying to brainstorm some fun ideas. I'm thinking Muir Woods, which is the Redwood Grove in Marin County. Redwoods are always fun to hike in the winter. Yeah, and here in California, we don't really get snow where I'm at. It's just rain, and redwoods in the rain are truly incredible. You're going to get wet, but there's just something really magical about being in the redwoods in their element, what kind of makes them what they are, and that's the high amount of rain we get here in the wintertime. So plug in that for either early January or early February. Stay tuned, check the links, check the Facebook pages, all that fun stuff. And I also have some other ideas, like taking a ferry out to Angel Island. I think I want to do that one day. You can either rent bikes or hike around that island, which is out in the San Francisco Bay. And then I'm thinking maybe there's a bicycle path in Napa, and you can rent bikes or bring your own bike. I'm thinking that would be fun to do, like a winery tour on your bikes, I mean, you can't really drink and ride your bike, but you can at least poke your head in and check some things out. I'm not going to promote drinking and riding bikes as an event, but do that on your own time, not on our time.
And that's why we have release forms.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. But, I think it would be really cool to try to, just kind of cruise through the Napa Valley on a bike, see things in a different view. So more to come, still brainstorming some future, activities to do. But yeah, it's been great. And I appreciate you guys. You built this organization from the ground up, and I'm glad we finally got California on the map. We have 2 other ambassadors now in the Central Valley and down in San Diego. So if you don't live up here, check those guys out. They also are ambassadors for those regions. So yeah.
Absolutely. And people, if they don't realize too, we have Facebook groups for the states where we have chapters. So there is a California chapter for LGBT Outdoors, which you should be able to just search in Facebook, LGBT Outdoors California. But the specific link, if you type fb.com/groups/LGBT Outdoors CA.
Correct.
You can get to the group as well.
Yep.
That's awesome. So I know that you've only done 2 events so far, with a lot more coming, but have you noticed any cool impacts that have happened maybe already, or great connections, fun stories, anything like that?
Absolutely. I think 2 of the people were on the Kirby Cove. I think it was impactful for both of them. One of the people who is a local, they were really grateful. They actually were looking for this kind of organization within this region, and came across LGBTQ plus outdoors, and she was like, wow, this is super cool. And they were incredibly grateful that we're hosting this hike and totally plan on coming to more of my events. And I even kind of checked her calendar to make sure she'd be able to come out with us. I was like, oh, you're going to be out of town? Okay, I'll make sure I don't set it up for that. Because, that's what it means to me is if I'm even impacting just one person who wants to come out, that's important to me. So, yeah, I got great feedback from, the two of them that are part of the community. And I think just the energy, it just, it is Northern California. I think we all know San Francisco's very supportive of the community and a little bit. And and yeah, I think you just can feel that energy all around, and to be able to do hikes in this region, I think just kind of forces or reinforces how impactful that is. But, I don't think there's many organizations like this within the Bay Area, which is crazy. And that was the feedback I had received was I looked all over for organizations like this and I couldn't find any except for you guys. So, yeah, that's wonderful. And again, I think it speaks a lot to, both of you for what you have done, that in the Bay Area of all places, this is one of the organizations that combines, the LGBT community and outdoors. And hoping we can, build up the chapter a little bit more. I think it's still kind of growing. People are still, trying to feel it out a little bit. But I'm hoping, with the John Muir, the Muir Woods event coming up, hopefully I can get a few more people to come out and just kind of grow our chapter with each event.
Yeah, and that's so cool.
I love it.
We always say that the ambassador program is the heartbeat of LGBT Outdoors, and that just
100%
amplifies that. Like, we're based here in North Texas, and we have these incredible ambassadors all across the U.S. that are connecting their communities directly to the outdoors because of this wild idea. And here we are in North Texas, jealous of all these people in amazing areas
Right?
during the great events.
The jealousy is real.
The jealousy is real. Like, you talking about the redwoods in winter, like, I want to go to that.
Fly on out. You got a place to stay.
Nice.
Hey,
So, we have that recorded, right? Okay.
So you are in California. You talked about this a little bit, but how do you feel about representation, the importance of it with the queer community and the outdoors?
Yeah, I think it is important just so it normalizes it, right? Well, let's make this not like a, whoa, there's a gay person in nature, woo, spooky. Like, let's normalize it, okay? Like,
I thought they were only in the mall.
That checks out. Look at this gay girl hiking. Yep, I'm not surprised by that. Let's normalize this stuff. So I think it is important, and it's not shoving it down people's throat. It's not like I'm walking out in my pride flags as I'm hiking like this. But it's just being comfortable in who you are and letting people know that we're not scary, we're not spooky, we're not weird. Maybe a little weird. I'm a little weird, but
Embrace it.
But yeah, I think it is important. Just like people of color, like we need to normalize that. Why, it hurts my heart when I have friends who are people of color and they tell me that, they have to do certain things when they're on backpacking trips so people feel comfortable when they pass them, or they're scared to do a solo trip because they're a person of color and they're afraid that somebody's, going to look at them weird or just, kind of give them a hard time because they don't belong in nature. And that hurts my heart that people have to go through that. So, I think we need to normalize that the outdoors is truly for everyone. It's not just for one race, one, type of sexuality. It's truly nobody owns nature,
Bingo.
And,
Right.
yeah, so I think just us getting out there, I think making a difference, joining nonprofits or doing conservation, doing fuel reduction in your area, planting native plants, pulling invasive species. I think also getting involved in your local area to do conservation, or just even, doing the Christmas bird count, which, they Audubon does here in California. It might be nationwide, and you just go out and
I
you
think it
count
is.
the
Yeah.
birds, and little things like that, getting you out into the community, I think also can be impactful, and again, normalizes that when you're out there. There's some really cool nonprofits out here that have specific LGBT days to do a fuel reduction program, and I think that's wonderful. Again, benefit of living where I live. But why not start that in North Texas? That we have a day where we're planting native trees and, along the river or something. So yeah, it is important. I want everyone to feel comfortable. Truly everyone. So I think it starts with just being a good ambassador to nature and just being a kind human soul. And from there, it's like, how can anyone not accept you or want you out there? Yeah.
Absolutely. And when you combine the two things of this nature that doesn't care, that embraces you, that recharges you, encourages you, inspires you, while being like fully authentic to yourself, like there's this sort of superpower that grows there, at least for me, that goes beyond like, just hanging out and, going on a walk. Like, there's like this exponential freedom that comes with the privilege of being able to be like fully real in nature, in a sunset, the ocean, like whatever it is. There's so many opportunities, and like that's what we're out to do, like just to show that is a thing that is possible, and it's good for you, and more people should do it.
I agree.
You're kind of commenting on this, but I was wondering, are there any specific organizations, events, movements, whether it's in your area or national, that you think some of our listeners might like to know about?
Yeah, that's a great question. Geez. Locally, I just started working with the Petaluma Wetlands Alliance. They're here in Petaluma, and they kind of help manage and maintain our local wetlands. So I'm going to kind of help launch their social media. They are mostly retired folks, and so technology is not their thing. And I'm no pro at social media, but I figure anything's better than nothing to kind of promote them and help bring awareness about them. So that's something, people could do too. If you have fun on your social media, maybe look around and see if there's a local nonprofit that's struggling with that, and you can even devote your time to that. For me, it's like those smaller organizations that really need help. You have your nationwide, like Nature Conservancy, and I'm sure there's tons of like national, things that are out there. But for me, I think the most impactful thing is to look up what's in your backyard that really truly needs that help. So that's what I would recommend. That's kind of how I found this Petaluma Wetlands Alliance. I just kind of Googled nonprofits in my area or conservation, and they popped up. And that's also how I found who I interned with within Sonoma County. I just kind of Googled, a nonprofit in my area, and that, to me, those are impactful. Not many people know about them. They're not in the newspaper. They're not, so you can find those like little smaller organizations. I think any kind of volunteer hours or whatever you can do is incredibly impactful to them. Especially, like I said, most are like retired. So, I think they could use some young blood in there. If you can have it, they'll take it with open arms. I know that much.
Yeah. It's that old phrase, like think global, act local.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. 100%. Because, for here, the wetlands, we have migratory birds that are going from Canada down to, South America. So you're exactly what you just said, Patrick. What we're doing here can truly impact thousands of different birds and, 100 different species that are migrating. If they have a place to land here and do their thing they got to do in the middle of their migration, that's an impact you are having globally, which is kind of cool to think about that.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Do you have any cool plans coming up in the future? Next year, what's going on with you? Any travels, fun adventures?
Probably go out to Tucson again. My brother moved to Tucson about 2 years ago, and let me tell you, Tucson's I'm sure people who live there and live in Arizona already know, but Tucson's a truly awesome town. I highly recommend it. Very community friendly. It's a college town, and you see pride flags kind of hanging in windows of businesses and breweries. It's a really wonderful, welcoming town, and there's so much to do. You got the national parks, the Saguaros out there, and you got the biosphere out there, which I also recommend. The biosphere, if you saw Biodome, similar to that without Pauly Shore, so I recommend that. Sorry, Pauly Shore's not in there, which might be a good thing. But highly recommend Tucson for those of you. But I'll probably cruise out there again. And then actually, my girlfriend's brother lives in the Denver area. So we're thinking of going back out to Colorado again this summer and doing a little more exploring. Because going out there 2 summers ago was not enough. That was my first time in Colorado. And a week was not enough to see what I wanted to see. So probably going to head back out to Colorado again. Yeah.
And we have great chapters in both of those states, Arizona and Colorado, too.
I've seen that, yeah.
Anybody that's listening, they can get plugged in there as well. You've done a lot of traveling and hiking and everything. Have you ever had any fun experience with any wildlife?
I was thinking about that one, and I'm sure I've got some crazy story where I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I fended off a grizzly bear, but I did not fend off a grizzly bear at any time.
We couldn't tell if you were lying.
Okay, cut that and let's go back into my grizzly bear story.
This is how she got attacked by a grizzly bear in California, where there are no grizzly bears. Although the grizzly bear is on their state flag.
I know. Actually, sad story. This is the 100-year mark of when our last grizzly bear roamed California and was killed off. So, RIP to our grizzly bears in California. I've just had some really beautiful moments where if you sit still long enough and just observe animals from a distance. I got one for you. I worked at Snowbird, as I said earlier, and from the office I worked in, there was this window that looked out across Mount Superior, which anybody from the Salt Lake region knows all about Mount Superior. Well, it's summertime, and mountain goats kind of hang out up there, and we had a little scope, in our office so we could kind of check out the mountain goats from our office. And I was watching these 2 kids kind of playing with each other. They were practicing like headbutting each other and just being goofy little goats. And there was an adult just below them. And as they were goofing around, they kicked this giant rock loose. And they both it was truly 2 human children that stared at each other like, oh no, we're in trouble. And then their heads look down at mom down there and they're like, oh mom. And the boulder just kind of chunks down and flies right by the adult. And you could see they both were holding their breath. And then they just started playing again once they were fine. And that moment was so funny to me.
Right.
It was just such a cool moment. No one else saw that, in that moment, unless they had a spotting scope looking up there. But I don't think anyone had a scope looking up there at that moment. So sometimes just sitting and watching nature do nature, moose kind of, eating in the little ponds. Yeah. But I think that mountain goat story is probably one of my favorite stories I like to tell.
Nice.
That's awesome. Love it. Should we do some rapid fire questions with her?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm ready.
You want to start or you want me to start?
What is your favorite trail snack?
Ooh. I like cashews. I like that salty, but they're also soft. Yeah, I don't want to chew too hard. So give me some cashews. That salt. Take it.
Tent or hammock?
I like tent for the privacy. That's the only reason. If hammocks had a little more privacy, I'd be all about it. Give me a tent.
Okay. Sunrise or sunset hikes?
Sunrise. I love to hear the birds waking up and love to watch the color change from stars to that beautiful blue hint in the morning.
Mountain, forest, or beach?
Give me mountains. I got forest and beach here in my backyard. I'll love to go see the Sierras.
Love it. I got to throw one more in there.
Yeah, go for it.
Favorite animal?
Oh my gosh. Oh man, that's hard. I do love mountain lions. I feel like we've demonized them as humans, and really we need to learn how to coexist with mountain lions. They're wonderful creatures, and if you could do research, if you have livestock, to learn how to coexist with them, I would appreciate that.
Yeah.
But yeah, mountain lions are super cool, and I love them. They're precious kitties, but I'll never pet them.
I agree. Yeah, don't pet the giant kitties. I will say though, like a little bit of North Texas news here. We have been having spotties in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, like being caught on security cameras and
wow,
Ring doorbells and stuff. Like I know in Frisco, Rockwall. So. Yeah, don't want to make people afraid of them at all. But like, use wisdom and caution
exactly.
when you're around them for sure. Yeah.
Well, and we also need to be looking at what area of theirs are we destroying that is kind of pushing them into public spaces. I feel like that's probably where they're coming from.
True, but there's a lot of land in Texas.
Sure. Like you think I'm screwing with California geography?
They might just want some Taco Bell.
Maybe.
Could be.
I'd love to kind of hear some words of wisdom from you. What is a piece of advice that you would love to give somebody that they might be nervous about getting into the outdoors? If they're a queer person, they grow up in the city, maybe they've never done anything in the outdoors. Any thoughts, advice that you'd like to pass on to them to try to encourage them to do that? Which I guess if they're listening to our podcast, they're probably already on the outdoor side, but who knows? Maybe somebody just stumbled across
or at least outdoors curious.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that. I honestly, just do it. Just do it. Maybe do some research first if you're really nervous. If you do have one of our chapters around you, that's a good way to get your feet wet. For me, I always wanted to do fly fishing, and I was like, I can never fly fish. I'm in California. Like, we don't have pristine rivers and creeks flowing around me like in Montana and whatnot. And you know what? I did some research, and I was like, oh, I can just go fish the lake outside in my backyard. Like, I didn't know I could do that. So there's things like that that can kind of open your eyes, and you might think it's harder than it is. Same with like any kind of mountaineering. Like, if you can't afford it, like maybe get a guide. I've never had a fly fishing guide. I would love to have one, but I mean, they're pricey. So I understand that people can't afford that stuff, but if you can, that's another good way to build your confidence and test something out if you like it or not. They often have rental gear. Why spend thousands of dollars on mountaineering gear or even backpacking gear? There's, little organizations you can just go do a backpacking trip with, and you can rent a backpack and you can rent a bear can and all that fun stuff. So if you're like, I don't want to invest in thousands of dollars worth of gear if I'm not going to do it every year, well, maybe try like renting or borrowing something from a friend. And if you only do one trip a year, that's great. That's still incredible, and that's still worthwhile. And, don't let that hold you back if you're worried about gear stuff. There's a lot of stuff out there that can be really overwhelming. And, just do a little research, talk to some friends. Don't let that hold you back, but just get out there. Seriously, don't hesitate. If you're nervous, there's, our cell phones now can even text when you don't have cell service. My last trip, I used the satellite on Apple to text my family. It was super cool. So, cool. Communication is even improved greatly. You don't have to carry a Garmin with you anymore if you want to be in contact with your loved ones. So, that's my advice. Just do some research, and honestly, just motivate yourself. Just go. Don't hesitate if you're on the fence. It's well worth it, and it's a life changer. It truly is.
And like, stepping out and going out into the outdoors for, the first time or the second time where you're nervous and you're scared, like that is a big time act of bravery. We've run into many people through our events and LGBT Outdoor Fest who say, I was petrified. I sat out in the parking lot for 30 minutes, or I didn't want to get on my plane here. And every single one has said, like, it has been absolutely worth it. Worth choosing and like willing myself to get over the fear. So if you're not into doing it like by yourself, like we said, we have tons of chapters of LGBT outdoors groups all around the country. Check it out. There was a quote from one of our Outdoor Fest attendees who said that like finding her tribe to like explore the outdoors in success and failure meant the world. Meaning, like if we go fishing and you strike out and you're quote unquote failing, like you're not really failing. Like it's okay to come in new and being open to learning stuff. So like to your point, like there's safe ways to do it if you can kind of get over your nerves. Definitely.
Yeah, beautifully said.
Yeah, I'd love to know, is there one thing that you would encourage our listeners to do to foster inclusivity in the outdoor spaces?
Ooh. Oh, geez. Yeah, just get outside and be good to everybody. Like, smile. I mean, I know there's like reels making fun of like people saying hi to people on hikes, but I love saying hi to people when I pass them on a hike.
Yes.
And if you don't, like, I'm kind of like, dude, you're in nature. Like, come on now. Like, maybe don't hike with AirPods in. That closes you off, and and you can't even hear what's going on around you. Go out and try to genuinely connect with people out there. Even just in Utah, I ran into these two people and we stopped and talked for like 20 minutes on the trail. I love doing that stuff. I think it's wonderful. I'm never going to see those people again. I don't know their name, but they left a positive impact on me, and hopefully I left a positive impact on them. And I think that's just a way of fostering that inclusivity, is just making eye contact with people. And even if you just give a smile and a nod as you pass them, that makes me feel comfortable and makes me feel that you're truly enjoying your time out here. I know sometimes we're on a mission to get down off the mountain and we're just kind of hauling and don't have time, or we're gassed from a hike. But I always do try to like at least make eye contact and nod to somebody. And if I can stop and chat with people, I'm a chatty Cathy, but I think it's wonderful. To me, that would be a way to kind of just make everybody feel comfortable. Is you don't have to talk to every person on the trail. You never get to your destination, but I think just kind of seeking people out and chatting with them. If you both stop at a lake, and you're having lunch, it's kind of fun to chat and see where people are from. Have they ever done this hike before? Yada, yada, yada. So that would be my little piece of advice.
Love it.
Perfect. And don't wear a boombox either.
Oof.
No, please don't. Oof. Please don't.
We don't want to listen to that.
No thanks.
Meghan, we have loved having you.
Yeah.
And I'd love for people to get connected with you. What's the best way for people to do that? Instagram, Facebook, something else?
Yeah. I am one of the administrators on the California Facebook page. So if you want to flop on that, I'm on there and I will post any upcoming hikes. Otherwise, if you just kind of want to see some of the more adventures I'm doing, my Instagram page is my most active thing. I'm on it daily. My handle is Schmeegans_adventures. Schmeegans is SHMEEGINS_adventures. And yeah, hit me up on that and let's connect. Let's do this. Let's go on outdoor adventures together.
Awesome.
Yeah, and we'll make sure to put a link to your Instagram on the show notes.
Right on.
Thank you so much, Meghan, for joining us.
Thank you guys. Appreciate everything you guys do. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
I want to thank all of our listeners and those that are watching on YouTube for tuning in today. We loved chatting with Meghan. I got a lot of great information out of it. I hope you did too. A reminder, check out the Trailblazer Society. If you like what this podcast is doing, what LGBT Outdoors is doing, and want to make a true difference in outdoor spaces with diversity and inclusion, join it. It will help us with our mission so much.
Absolutely.
Until next time.
Wait, hang on. Are we going to tease Outdoor Fest.
Are we sure?
Ye-
Until next time?
I thought
Until next time?
no.
No, we'll tease
We'll,
it.
we'll,
Okay.
we'll tease it. We have to.
Go ahead. Tease it.
Okay. Do we want to do the date or the location?
Yeah.
Both?
Well, I mean,
Okay. So we can tell you definitively that LGBT Outdoor Fest 2025 will be in the state of New York, going up to the Northeast. It will be September 11th through the 14th, 2025. So put that on your calendar. More details will be coming out here in not too distant future, but we wanted to let y'all know to save those dates and stay tuned for more information on LGBT Outdoor Fest 2025. It's going to be awesome.
can't wait. It's always an amazing time. All right. Until next time.